Welcome back. Between the DNC here in Milwaukee, the election, and the pandemic, it was a busy year in politics. Our Charles Benson takes a look back at the biggest stories of 2020.
14 days into the 2020 election year, President Trump was in Milwaukee for a big rally testing out a new campaign slogan.
Who likes "Keep America Great"?
Democrats were also busy in January planning for the Democratic National Convention in Milwaukee.
It's something that I think is really exciting, but also it's also a little nerve-wracking.
Little did Alex Lasry know at that time how much the highly prized party convention, with 50,000 visitors and $200 million economic impact, would be dramatically downsized by a virus that was slowly starting to make its way into America. By mid-March, Governor Tony Evers had declared a public health emergency as Wisconsin battled its first cases of the virus.
I want to assure everyone that those affected are receiving the best possible care and that all steps are being taken to stop the spread of this virus.
But there was no stopping the virus. Governor Evers closed K through 12 public schools and then issued his safer at home order, forcing all non-essential businesses to close.
Folks need to start taking this seriously. So today I'm asking for your help.
By early April, chaos and confusion as Election Day approached. How do you vote during a pandemic? Governor Evers tried to delay the election until June. The state Supreme Court said no. That left thousands of stunned and determined Milwaukee voters standing in long lines to vote in person.
Here at Washington High School, the line to cast your ballot is hundreds deep.
The 1 week delayed election results would produce some pivotal moments. Liberals would gain a seat on the state Supreme Court, with Jill Karofsky beating Dan Kelly. David Crawley would become the first elected African American to lead Milwaukee County, and an African American would take over the city attorney's job, with Tierman Spencer beating Grant Langley, who had the job for nearly 4 decades. Joe Biden won the Wisconsin primary, ending challenger Bernie Sanders' chances of getting the nomination. Coronavirus, very much the most important campaign issue when I talked to Biden by Zoom.
What about those workers who are waiting? They want to go back to work, but they want it to be safe, but they feel like they need to go back to work.
I understand. And by the way, there are a lot of the very people who can't afford to stay home and work from home.
Also in April, Vice President Mike Pence talked with workers making ventilators at GE Healthcare in Madison, as states like Wisconsin waited for more COVID-19 testing supplies.
As people look for more testing, will each governor have to find their own supplies? Is it going to be Wisconsin versus Michigan?
We've actually established a national supply chain, not just for testing.
And as promised, Joe Biden picked a woman for his running mate in August.
Your next Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris.
Senator Kamala Harris, who briefly lived in Madison as a young girl, would also become the first woman of color to be on a national ticket. By the time summer rolled around, though, all hopes for some kind of in-person Democratic National Convention in Milwaukee had vanished. Instead, there was a limited footprint here, with a few local speeches and hundreds of virtual events, as Joe Biden and Kamala Harris accepted their party's nomination virtually.
This is a life-changing election.
In fact, President Trump traveled to Wisconsin the same week. Democrats were supposed to be here.
Truly thrilled to be here with you, the hardworking patriots of Wisconsin.
The national narrative quickly turned to Kenosha in September after the police shooting of Jacob Blake. Some protests turned violent as downtown businesses were burned and destroyed. President Trump arrived with a law and order message after sending in more National Guard troops to keep the peace.
We're going to help you, okay? We'll help you rebuild.
2 days later, the Democratic presidential nominee would make his first visit to the Badger State with a smaller, socially distanced town hall in Kenosha focused on race and reform.
I heard nothing but hope, nothing but commitment to make things better.
October started with the news the president had contracted coronavirus. He quickly recovered and returned to the campaign trail, including an outdoor rally in Janesville at a time when COVID cases were surging in Wisconsin. The country was also in need and waiting for another round of stimulus.
Will there be more money by Election Day? Do you have a deal?
Well, I want the money by tonight.
By November, Election Day 2020 would prove to be the year of the absentee ballot. A record 1.9 million ballots cast, mostly by mail-in. All told, a record 3.3 million voters in Wisconsin. Counting all those votes would take all night.
For most of the early morning hours, Donald Trump was up by more than 100,000. But all of that changed when we waited for and we knew those votes would come in later for the city and the county of Milwaukee, and that changed everything. And right now, Joe Biden is up by 7,100 votes.
Biden held on as Wisconsin once again lived up to its battleground status. He won by around 20,000 votes, about the same margin as President Trump's victory in 2016. Republicans elected State Senator Scott Fitzgerald to replace longtime conservative Congressman Jim Sensenbrenner, who was retiring, and Julian Bradley became the first Republican African-American in the state Senate. But the election was not over for Trump's team. They paid for a recount in only Milwaukee and Dane counties. That didn't change the outcome. By mid-December, the Electoral College sealed the victory for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
You know, in this battle for the soul of America, democracy prevailed.